Aloha, it is Dave Lawrence, and we're here at the Blaisdell Concert Hall in Honolulu, and it's a very special interview. I'm getting to follow up two phone interviews, one that was done right at the very beginning of 2010 after the Stylistics played in Honolulu, and then another phone interview done a couple weeks ago in advance of the Stylistics return in this pre-Father's Day show that they're doing as part of 3 dates in the islands. And it is my great pleasure and honor to have from the Stylistics, Airrion Love. Aloha and mahalo, my brother.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for asking. And how has this latest journey to Hawaii been so far?
Wow, it's been great. Just never enough time, you know. We came in today from Maui. We did get into Maui the day before the show. So we got in to the hotel, I guess, about 4 o'clock. So we did have that evening to rest up coming from Japan. And then we did the show in Maui the next day and flew out this morning. And here we are. And then tomorrow we fly to Kauai.
Why do they do these lightning fast tours? Probably because it's expensive as hell to come and visit here, or I mean, because you always come, it's like a bullet train.
I know, and Tom Moffat, I'm gonna say his name, but no, Tom has been good to us through the years. But I mean, it's all about economics too. And if he have us here not performing, then he's just, in his mind, wasting money just paying hotel for a vacation for us, which we need, you know. But we come in and we do whatever he wants us to do. We island hop and then we go home.
We're really fortunate throughout the years that he's had the chutzpah or whatever you think it is to bring you over and over. I have this loyal listener, Steve, who sends me stuff, and he was saying we've talked about one of your favorite or one of your early gigs here. On the phone, you mentioned there were a pair of like hotel gigs, and then you came back and did the one with Al Green that was right next door at the arena. Do you have any memories that like come out in your head about playing with Al Green?
Oh, that's when I remember playing the
arena.
The arena, right, with Al Green. I even remember that was our first big payday.
Making some dough.
Yeah, for us, that was the first one. But no, we had been here a few times before, but that's the one that stands out in my mind. That was a big show. Real big show.
And then you came back. I think you did 2 nights there the next year. I think it was like in 75. You did 2 back-to-back.
That's right. Wow. You're making me go back now. That's right. You're correct.
Well, I'm lucky because you know what it is, dude? Ari and I've got these listeners and I've been fortunate since I've lived here. I moved from Boston, but local people have taken me in and give me like clippings from newspapers, old reviews, articles. So they'll send me faxes of the stuff. They'll mail me copies. So that's how I'm really privileged to get to know a lot of these old dates. Right. It's not like I know them all. I'm really lucky people have shared them.
Yeah, you got a whole network of information out there, right, which is good, which is cool.
Doing surveillance on you guys.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about some of the things that I've never talked to you about, which I'm curious. And I'm thinking about what originally it was that if we go back in time, you started out and it was a pair of bands that came together. And I'm curious what it was that brought the other guys and yourselves in the Monarchs together. What was it that... Was it some kind of bond about music? Was it just camaraderie as friends? What was it that originally brought you together?
Well, you know, the other group was the Percussions, and that was the group that Herb Morrell was part of. My recollection of the Percussions in high school, they were the ones that didn't graduate. No, I'm gonna be truthful, but they were like the professional group of the high school, you know, because back in the day, everybody were wearing processors. I don't know if you remember that, but process hairs. I never had a process, but they did, and they worked professionally. They didn't have any recordings out, but they would work and get paid for it. And we at that time wasn't a recording group, or did we get work for pay, you know? So. When we graduated from high school, my group, the Monarchs, it was 3 of us left. And in Herb's group, the Percussions, there was 2. They had a guitar player and a bass player, and we had a drummer. You know, so our kind of like manager was our English teacher, Beverly Hamilton. And she said, well, you know, why don't you guys put the 2 groups together and, you know, form a new group? So we did it and went through the battle of keeping either the Monarchs names or the Percussions, and our guitar player, Robert Douglas, well, their guitar player, Robert Douglas, came up and said, what about the Stylistics? As soon as he said it, it clicked. okay, we're going to use the Stylistics, and that's how all that came together.
What's the guy's name again? Who came up with that?
Robert Douglas.
Yeah. Had the name.
Had the name. Yeah.
It's funny you.
Not to cut you off, but Robert Douglas was also the one that penned our first record, "You're a Big Girl Now." So it was him and our road manager at the time, Marty Bryant, that wrote our first song.
Right, and that became a huge first single. It's you mentioned Bethany Hamilton. I had a question. I was curious when you think about it. People who were influential in the Stylistics life. I wanted if you could describe for me how much creative ownership over some of the early years of the band you feel that you share with both producer Tom Bell and also with Beverly Hamilton for her role as a teacher who did what you sort of described earlier.
Well, Beverly, when she was involved, we didn't have any recordings. We were just working locally in the Philadelphia club scene. And when we worked, we put the money towards buying an instrument. And I think the first thing we bought was an amp. And we plugged the bass player and the guitar player in the same amp. And that's how we did our little talent shows. And as we started doing talent shows, our name got bigger and bigger. And then we started doing club dates. I mean, small clubs in Philly. People would come out. So we had a following, and we would do like a run of clubs from Ben Bynum's Cadillac Club to Sid Booker's Highline Club to the Rackapoom Poom. So it's like 3 or 4 clubs that we worked through the city around, not for a lot of money, maybe a night $300, $500. So
for everybody.
Yeah, everybody may have gotten $100 a piece. I think the big paid week for us when we did Ben's Bynum Cadillac Club from Christmas to New Year's, and that was like a 10-day run, and we got $1,500 for that. So everybody made, it was like 10 of us, so everybody made $150.
Total on all the nights.
Yes. Yeah, which was, I was able to buy Christmas presents.
Humble beginnings.
I'm telling you, it's still pretty humbling too, So, yeah, but no, that was those early days, man. And we were working at one of the clubs when this gentleman came to the show. And then those days you did 40-20. So we did 4 shows, 40 minutes on stage, 20 minutes off. And he came to the dressing room and said, would you guys be interested in recording? We said, yeah. I mean, everybody wants to record. He said, well, I'm going to pay for the session and take you guys into the studio. And his name was Bill Perry. And he took us in to record the same song that Robert Douglas and Marty Bryant wrote, "You're a Big Girl Now." And Bill released it on his record label just locally called Sebring, and that was released in the Philadelphia area, New York area, just small, The record went #1 in Philly, and then Bill contacted AFCO Records. And in fact, they were called AFCO Embassy when we first signed with them, and had them to release it nationally. And I think Bill got something like $10,000, I think, for the deal that he made with AFCO. We haven't seen Bill since, nor any part of that $10,000, But with that happened after AFCO released it national, they had to come back with an album, and that's when they got in touch with Tom Bell to start producing us.
But I mean, is he... when I listened back to get ready for this interview and watched videos and listened to songs, and so I know Miss Hamilton's role as this teacher who brought these people together who then went on to be so successful. Do you look at him as having been sort of an architect of the sound, or does he get too much credit as a producer / arranger? No,
I actually think Tommy gets all the credit that he should get. I mean, he did some great songs. I mean, not only did Tommy produce for us, but actually he did the Spinners and I think he did, Stylistics Round 2 and Rock and Roll Baby. They were the 3 albums that Tommy did. But after that, he started producing more artists, and he started working with the Spinners. And even me seeing Tommy again after that, he was saying, well, couldn't work out a good deal with the record company. They wanted this and I wanted that, so they had to part ways. But I think all the stuff that Tommy did is really what put us on the road that we're on. You know?
And made the sound that people all these years later call the sound of the Stylistics.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that's cool. That's what I was curious. As I listened, I was dissecting the songs. I was thinking, man, this guy, these arrangements are probably, in a lot of ways, these sweeping, the strings, I mean, this lush sound. It was that guy.
And it's funny, too, because when we first started working with Tommy, we would come into a little room, and he'd have a piano there. And I remember I got there early, and there was a book about that thick with songs of Burt Bacharach and Hal Davis. You know, and when I listened to Tommy's stuff loved his arrangements, and I listened to it, and it was real close to Burt Bacharach. You know, and after Tommy did a couple albums on us, he produced Dionne Warwick. She flew to Tommy, and Tommy did a successful album on her, Track of the Cat, that Tommy did. Excellent album.
Who was the one who did the arrangements on that Kool and the Gang, Summer Madness? That was a different Bell, huh? Who did that?
Yeah, that was, I think, Kool's brother or horn player. His last name was Bell.
It was such a nasty jam.
Yeah.
That long live.
Yeah.
I always really dug that.